guys, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to talk about that one time I freaked out in an MRI machine. So I had this I had an appointment with my doctor, and then he was like, I think you should get an MRI test so we can, an MRI scan so we can, you know, see what we're dealing with, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, that's cool, because I've had x-ray done once in my life. I've had a scan, not a CT scan, just a normal, you know, scanning. So I was like, to me, when he said an MRI scan, the fact that he added scan to it, I was like, okay, it's something that I've done before. I've done scan, so what could this one, you know, what's the difficulty here? So we now got to the front desk, and we're like, the doctor said we should go for an MRI scan. So the guy at the front desk obviously is, you know, is kind of familiar with us, you know, he's like a friend, sure. So he was like, okay, I hope you've been briefed. I'm like, briefed, okay, about what? And he's like, okay, well, I don't even think you'll meet them today, but go to where the scan is being done, and the front desk will probably tell you what you need to do. So I was like, okay, sure, no problem. So we now got there. That's my sister and I. We now got there, and the lady was like, what are you here for? I was like, oh, they said we're going to do an MRI. And then she was like, okay, please have a seat. She brought me a form to fill, which started making me question a lot of things, because I'm like, I've done x-ray, I've done scan, they never gave me a form to fill talking about my, you know, next of kin, my phobias and all those type of things. So I was like, okay, well, let me fill it. So I filled it. At some point I was even waiting for my sister to come so she can help me understand, you get this form. So the lady now came out, like, it's no big deal, you can just fill it yourself, you don't even need any whatever, because it's not something serious. I was like, okay. So I actually filled the form and I gave it to her. So this, I don't know if he's a doctor or an intern, but he now walked in, and then she was like, you're going to do the MRI scan. So I was actually hearing, and then he's like, oh, what type? And then she now told him, and then he was like, me, I know if you do that one. So I was telling myself, I'm like, this one's already saying he cannot do it. I hope he's not the person they are going to force to come and do it. So she now said she was going to talk to the chief. She now went in to talk to the chief. So the chief now said he was going to do it. So she now came and she told him, she was like, chief said you're going to do it. So he's like, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I was sitting there waiting because I was already confused at the form I just filled. And she now said to me, come. So I now went, like, she took me to like the nurses station there. So we now got there, and the lady was like, she wants to, is it put line? I've forgotten the way she said it, Sha, where they put this cannula thing on your hand. So at that point, I was already I was freaking out. But obviously I wasn't gonna let it show, because you know, Odogu cannot misbehave. So I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? And then she was like, oh no, they're gonna just put it here, like you can see, they're gonna put it on my vein, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay. This is the reception lady. The nurse lady was like, just bring your hand, and I gave it to her, and then she now put it. She was not trying to put it, and then I was really nervous at this point. So I was trying to make conversations, because when I'm nervous, I try to make conversations to see how I can calm myself down, because, you know, I don't want people noticing that I'm freaking out. So I was like, I've never had this thing put on me like my whole life. And then the nurse was like, your whole life, Kay? How can you say that? I said, because I'm not one that falls sick. Like, I can't even remember going to the hospital for a drip or anything. She's like, no, it's not possible. What if when you were a baby? I'm like, how am I supposed to know when I was a baby? So I think the reception lady now noticed that I was really nervous, was why I was just talking. So she now started telling me about the times that they put it on her. At some point, they did it on her neck, they did it on her legs, you know, all those type of things. She was just telling me, trying to make me, you know, feel like I'm not the first person. You get that kind of a situation. So I really kind of liked it, though, because it was like a case of, oh, okay, they even put it on your neck. Fantastic. So they finished putting this thing for me. Ladies and gentlemen, they now carried me into a room, and they now said I should lay on the bed. That's the MRI machine. So for those of you that do not know, an MRI machine looks like this. So they now said I should lay down on the bed. Obviously I lay down on the bed, and they came, and then they strapped me, and then they covered me with a blanket. Obviously the room was so cold. So I was now telling them that I have cough variant asthma. Obviously if the place gets too cold, I get to cough and all that. So they now pushed me into the machine. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the moment of truth, because the minute they pushed me into the machine, I was literally screaming, get me out of here, get me out of here. And then, you know, brought me out, and I was telling the doctor, like, I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe. So there I was screaming, get me out of here, get me out of here. And then they pulled me out. Now, let me tell you guys something. At this point, the machine had not started. It was a case of they just put me in, like they pulled me into the machine and they left the room and closed the door. Before they could get to the other room where they would, you know, start the whole scanning process, I was already freaking out. So I was literally screaming, get me out of here, get me out of here. And then the doctor now came and he's like, what's going on? I said, I'm claustrophobic. I felt I was dying. I felt I was suffocating. And I specifically wrote it on the form that I feel that I'm claustrophobic. And then he was like, yeah, they did, but the machine is actually, you know, friendly, whatever. She tried to calm me down. And I said to him, I couldn't breathe. He now said, okay, I should give it a try again, blah, blah, blah. Before you guys know, I was crying. Like, I was crying. Like, thinking about it now is so silly. I was crying. And I was like, can you call my sister for me? Can you get my sister in here? And the doctor was like, of course. Why wasn't my sister even in here in the first place? So he now went and got this is another doctor, mind you, not the one that was instructed to do the MRI test. So apparently this one was about leaving, so he just came in to check on, you know, what the commotion was all about. So he now got my sister and he's like, anything to make you comfortable. So I was like, can I not be strapped? Like, because I felt, you know, like I was in a box because of the whole covering me and stuff. And he's like, anything you want is what we'll do. So he now took off the blanket, and I took out the stripe. He was even making fun, like, who tied her up? Why would you guys do that kind of a thing? You know, he was trying to get me to calm down. So they managed to get me back into the machine. So this time around, as they were pulling me back in, I closed my eyes because I was like, you know what, maybe because my eyes were open and the whole place was white and, you know, certain things were running through my head was why I wasn't able to calm myself down. So I now closed my eyes for them to take me back into the machine. Ladies and gentlemen, so when I got into the machine, I now started choking. So I wanted to cough. And the instruction was, you were not supposed to move. So I said to my sister if we could get them to get me out because I needed to cough. So they gave me a button to press. Actually, when you're going into the machine, they give you a button to press in case of an emergency for them to come. So at this particular point that I was choking, I was pressing on that button like my life depended on it. Like, it was a traumatic experience, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was pressing on the button like my life depended on it. And my sister was like touching my feet, you know, just trying to make me feel like, okay, she's actually there. I should calm down. They were coming, blah, blah, blah. They now came. But unfortunately for me, is this particular guy that at first was saying he wasn't going to do the MRI that now walked in. And he goes, madam, what's the problem? I'm like, I couldn't breathe. I needed to cough. A lot of things were just going on. Like, so they now brought me out. I now coughed. After I coughed, they now put me back in. My eyes were closed. And when they put me in, now let me tell you guys where stage 2 of panic attack kicked in. The sound. So for those of you that do not know, an MRI sounds like this. Exactly. So I was there and the noise comes on and I opened my eyes and I started to freak out again. So I was pressing on that panic button again like my life depended on it. And he now quickly rushed in. He now came in and he's like, what is the matter? I said, pull me out. My sister at that point was like, just calm down. Just try your best. You know, she was trying to motivate me the best she could. I said to her, ask these people to get me out of this damn machine. I don't want to do it. So he now pulls me out. And at this point, I was already a hot mess because I was crying. I needed to understand what emotions my body was, you know, giving me. Like, what signs, what signals, what was happening, you know. And then this guy now goes, madam, you're wasting our time. I just crossed my leg down from the bed. And I said to him, I'm not going to do it. And then he's like, you're not going to do it. I said, I'm not going to do it. Take me out of here. It was so weird that even after leaving the machine, it took me the whole night. Like, I was traumatized. I went to bed with the feeling of being in an enclosed space. That was how bad this experience was. And then they now had to reschedule me for Monday because this happened on a Friday. So they now had to reschedule me for Monday. And he was like, I hope when you come on Monday, you will not give us tough time. I said, okay, please. I said you should reschedule me, Abby. Do it for me. That's all. I went home. Let me tell you guys what happened. I went home. I cried the whole night. I couldn't sleep. I had nightmares. It was a traumatic experience. At this particular point, my sister was already full here. She was like, you don't have to do it. Because for something that gets you to this point, it means that it's bad. You do not have to do it. But I do not like feeling defeated, especially by a machine. So I said to myself, I was going to do it. So I now started to practice. I will get tables in my house. I will fit myself under the table. I go on YouTube. I get different kind of sounds that are from MRI machine. You know, I was just playing them so I can familiarize myself with those sounds. And that was how I was able to do it on Monday. Monday morning, I wore my best outfit and I wore my best shoes because it gave me some confident boost after spending the whole weekend practicing what it feels like to be in an MRI machine. Now let me tell you what happened. So on Friday when I left the hospital, I sent my doctor a text. I was like, I wasn't able to do the MRI scan, and he's like, what happened? I told him that I am claustrophobic, I had a panic attack, I had a nervous breakdown. So he now sent me some links to check out how to calm yourself down when you're going for an MRI scan. So I used those links, I got videos, I got different kind of things to, you know, help calm myself down when I'm going into the machine. So I spent the weekend doing that because I want to conquer. Like, I don't like feeling defeated, especially from a machine. So I was ready to conquer on Monday. So I got dressed, I got to the hospital, and so the reception lady, when I was done on Friday, she was not there. So she thought I came on Monday to collect my results. And then she was like, oh, you're here for a result? I'm like, no, I'm here for the test. And she's like, you didn't do it? I said, I couldn't. She's like, oh, wow. So the nurse lady that put the cannula thing on me now saw me and she's like, ah, you're here for your result? I said, no, I'm actually here for the exam because I wasn't able to do it on Friday. That was it too. This woman now went through the whole world telling them, ah, that girl from that day is back. That, you know, that kind of a situation. Ah, that girl from that day is back. And I'm like, auntie, give me a break. Like, I'm not the first person to have a nervous breakdown in a machine. And trust me, even if you're not claustrophobic, your first experience in an MRI machine, if you do not know what to expect, you will definitely have a breakdown. So give me a break. So anyway, Sha, I now had it in me. The chief was already upset with me because I wasted their time on Friday and then I'm back again today. What exactly is it I want to do? There was attitude, Sha. I just didn't see it because I came with a spirit to conquer. So she now called me to put the cannula thing in me, which was very stupid of me because when she did it, my hands were hurting me, but I was like, let me not complain because, okay, so the one she did on Friday, I didn't feel any pain, but when she put this one, I was in so much pain. But I just said to myself, like, let me not complain before they say I've not even entered the machine. I was already complaining, which was a big mistake because after the whole process, my hands were swollen because of the pain that I was going through, you know. If only I had spoken up, but I didn't because I just didn't want to seem like a diva. So anyway, I also met another lady who was going into the MRI and I was scared. So we kind of like motivated each other and it was so much fun. We motivated each other. She went ahead of me and then when she was out, it was now my turn. Obviously, the nurse went again to tell the people in the room of the recording that, if people think this patient is dramatic, you have not seen the one that is coming. Blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, the doctors now came out. And they were like, okay, so we heard you're afraid of the machine. I was like, you people, it's not intentional something. It was just something that happened. So this particular doctor that I would never forget, because it's rare for you to actually come across people like that, now came out and was like trying to calm me down, you know, trying to get me to, you know, at least perform. So he was like, what can we do to make your, you know, experience a good one? I said to him, I just don't want to feel like I'm alone. He's like, but you have people there with you. I'm like, yes, I do. But at the same time, when I'm in the machine, I don't hear them when they speak to me. Like when my sister was talking to me, I couldn't hear. So how do you expect me to not freak out? He said, no problem. What do you want to do? I said, I just want you to be hyping me. He said, eh? I said, yes. At this point, I've already made my research. I've you know, inquired on how long this test is going to take, what you know, requirements. I'm already familiar with the sound. I've done my research. I just needed to know that I was not alone. So I just said to him, just keep me, you know, company. And he's like, that's no problem. If that's what will keep you going, we'll do that. So I got into the machine. I was praying, obviously, and I was literally challenging myself as I was doing it, because if I tell you guys how many times I was almost at the verge of screaming, but I was like, not today, because there are a lot of people out there waiting for me to fail, especially the chief. So I was like, I will not give him that pleasure today. I will not do that. So I literally calmed myself down. And then the doctor every now and then will speak to me through the mic. I was like, so there's a mic inside this thing. He said, I told you I'm going to talk to you, right? I'm like, yeah. So he's like, how are you doing? Fine. Okay. Just stay calm, we're almost done. Just stay calm, we're almost done. Just stay calm, we're almost done. And that was how I was able to do my MRI. And yeah, I was done with it. So the essence of this video is actually to encourage people to do research. Just because they say you're going to do this, don't assume. do your research. Like, do your research. It is very, very important. And healthcare practitioners, you people need to tell people what they are getting themselves into. You don't just assume everybody has entered an MRI machine and they know what it feels like to be in an MRI machine. No. So educate someone. This is it. This is what to expect. This is how to do it. You don't even have to do it that same day. You can actually come back. If your case is not an emergency, you can actually come back and do it. I felt that if they had told me that, I would have actually just gone home that Friday, spent the whole weekend trying to do my research, trying to get familiarized with the whole thing, and come back on Monday and do it well. But you guys didn't tell me anything. You just bamboozled me with something that I have never experienced in my life, and you expected me to know it. So yeah, that's my awkward, weird experience with an MRI machine. And I just want to say, I wish whoever is sick out there a quick recovery. May Allah heal you. May Allah make whatever it is that you're going through easy for you, because trust me, going through anything in life is not easy. And yeah, that's practically all I want to say. And if you have an MRI test coming, do your research. Don't just go blindly. Do your research, okay? Bye.